Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? It's your main man, Rich, and I'm with a very special guest, Attila the Killer. How you doing, Attila?
Hey, Rich, I'm fine. How are you today?
Oh man, I'm doing so good. Before we get started talking about Abcann, and you are the man that is bringing us all the breaking news on Abcann and has since day one. So you've got some more breaking news that we want to get into, and we want to get into this company in a little bit more detail, so we get to know about the newest medical marijuana IPO that's coming out. Before it comes out, because that's what we do here on Rich TV Live, we get down to the business before anybody else does. So, before I do that, are you aware of what is happening with BITCF?
Oh, God, I was just looking at it, and it's just blowing me away.
I told you guys about this stock when it was at 4 cents. Today it hit 79 cents, up 33% again today. Are you kidding me? And this is why I say, guys,
Incredible.
don't chase losers, chase winners. And this is a big winner, guys. This is up 2,000% since I alerted it first on my show. One of our own subscribers, Dennis the Menace, is up 800% on this stock. The day I broke my hand and was potentially going to get surgery, he bought the stock when it was at 9 cents, Attila. Today it's at 79 cents. And I told him, Dennis, sell it, sell it. And he's like, nope, I'm going to hold on to this. He's like, nope, I'm going to hold on to this one, Rich. Sorry, I think this thing's got legs. And you know what, Dennis? You are a scholar, my friend. You are correct. Look at this. Hitting 80 cents today. Actually hitting a high of 85 cents today. Isn't that incredible, Attila?
Wow. Did it pull back a little bit?
Yeah, it's at
Back off the 85?
it's at 79 right now. It's at 79.
Wow.
But
When I saw it earlier today, I couldn't believe my eyes because we spoke about it just yesterday. And to watch it go up again, like incredibly even more so today, just blew me away.
this was at 20 cents. This was at 20 cents 2 weeks ago. If you got in 2 weeks ago.
I wish I would have heard about it, when you first showcased it when it was worth 4 cents. I wish I would have known about it. I would have watched it a little while. As it goes up, I gather even more interest in it, and I'm sure I would have dove right into it. But I found out like later on, and it still doesn't matter. Anyone who invests in BITCH, I think is going to come up. They're going to come up very happy.
Oh yeah, BITCF is a huge winner. It is up big, and it feels so good to hear the people in the community tell me that they're winning. And it's just such a contagious feeling when you find a winner, it goes up thousands of percent, it changes people's lives, people start winning within our community, and this isn't buying the dips, guys, this is buying winners. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. Don't be a dipshit chasing dips. If you are chasing the medical marijuana stocks, and what I tell you guys yesterday, don't chase stocks in the red because they might go red the next day. Well, guess what? All the medical marijuana stocks are red again today. What do you think about that, Attila?
I don't know. It was a little bothersome, but again, all these companies, these marijuana companies that have all been being hit by, I don't know what's affecting all of them so much, but it's got to be just it could be a little bit about some of the lashback about this, the recalls that have been happening, and the Supreme incident with the nutrient there. That was a big downer for them too, and it seems to be quite a few of them are experiencing some of these, drawbacks from the industry, but things like I just read about the Aurora is affecting them more than they actually thought it was going to affect them.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because that's what we do here. We break the news. So let's talk about the Aurora news.
Like Aurora is down big time today itself.
Of course, but do you know why?
Well, I think it had something to do with the Thursday.
No, it actually has to do with the fact there are people in the chat rooms. I don't know if it's real or not. I haven't seen the news on it, but people are going into the chat rooms, and this is the beauty and the power of our community, people sharing information. There are people going into chat rooms right now saying that Aurora has insects in their crops.
Wow,
Now, I don't know if
that's
it's
interesting.
true. I don't know if it's true. This could just be haters trying to short the stock. I have not heard this news come out in a press release yet. It's kind of disturbing when you hear that kind of stuff, but we heard the same thing with Organogram when they were spraying pesticides on their crops. So it goes back to the same thing. They're giving licenses to bankers. None of these people know how to grow. And these type of issues are going to persist. And the reality is they're growing these huge crops and they're not really focused on the quality of the crops. They're more focused on just mass quantity. And if you can't focus on the quality of your crops and you're growing all this mass quality, you're going to have major problems. Major
Absolutely.
problems.
And we're going to discuss a company today, Abcann, which doesn't have any of those type of problems and hasn't experienced any of those problems because of the route that they've taken with the way that they grow their marijuana over there at Abcann.
So let's
It's
talk about
incredible.
Abcan for a second.
Okay.
You wanted to go through the investor package. So let's go through this whole process. How do we find the
Okay.
investor package on Abcan so that the people at home that are watching can do their due diligence and determine whether or not they want to invest in the newest IPO in the medical marijuana space that will be IPOing on what day, Attila? You can break it first, my friend. You told me today.
Well, as soon as they get approval from SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, as soon as they get, because everybody who IPOs, they need their approval through SEC, and once that happens, once they're given the approval, then they got the green light to go public, and which is going to happen on Monday or Tuesday of next week, whenever they get the green light from SEC, that will be the day that they IPO, and it's most likely going to be on the Monday or the Tuesday of next week. So I think a lot of people should be looking.
You guys heard it here first. You guys heard it here first. Abcan, under the symbol ABCN, the newest medical marijuana IPO, will be IPOing on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend today and we're going to gear up and find out a little bit more about this new company that Attila really loves. And he spent a lot of time with me talking about this company. So we wanted to really go through it today with you, the people at home, to show you how we do our due diligence and how we determine whether or not we like a company and whether or not we think this is a company that has huge potential, where it's going to go, and why we think it's going to get there. Okay?
Well, this company here has associated themselves with so many fantastic individuals when it comes to the marijuana space. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but as far as the investor package that anyone can download, you can go to Abcann Medicinals. So you can Google ABCANN, Abcann Medicinals, get on their site, and you can download their investors package. Anyone can download their investors package from their home site. So anyone can Google that Abcann Medicinals, and they can actually download the investor package. I have it up on my screen here right now. It's 25 pages long, and the things that are associated with Abcann, and they're just doing some amazing stuff there. Anyways,
I'm on their website right now. Where would I go to download the investor package? Do I have to register?
Yes, there is a button you can click on for registry, and you can click on the registry for their investor package, and you will be sent their investor package through their site.
Is there a way to get the investor package without registering right now live? Just because I don't want to necessarily register live in front of everybody.
I believe you might even you might even still be able to look at it through Abcann Medicinal. So if you
Because I'm
Google
on
that,
there right now.
are you on it?
Yeah, and it just takes you to the website.
I see.
It's okay. What
Well,
we'll do is I will
yeah,
register. I will register for it once we're done here. And what we can do in the
yeah.
meantime is let's talk about it. I'll try to pull it up here. What do you think you see here with this investor package that's capturing your attention?
Well, first and foremost, what Abcann does, and what what no other LP really does, is focus a great deal of their attention on making medicine. So the medicinal part of marijuana, they have people that they've associated themselves from Israel, from Australia, people that they're working with, and you know that Israel is the first and foremost, uh, as far as marijuana is concerned, that they've been working with marijuana for over 25 years, and there's a science professor that operates out of, I believe it's in Israel, and it's from the, let's see here, Professor Raphael Mechlam. It's obviously Israeli name, and he's from the University of Israel. He is the father. He is the father of medicinal marijuana.
Wow.
He's the first. He's the first guy who was able to identify and isolate THC in the marijuana plant, and has also identified the cannabinoid system within the human body. So these people are very, very scientifically attacking this marijuana plant. I don't know if people realize out there how many compounds the marijuana plant. There's over 90 compounds within the marijuana plant, and they're still finding more every time. It's like dissecting a gene, you know. They're still finding out more compounds within that marijuana plant. It really is the most misunderstood plant in the world, and this is actually a fact, Rich. I'm going to tell you this. This is a fact that there are more uses for the marijuana plant than any other agricultural plant in the world.
Oh,
Okay?
I think there's no doubt. I think that's already been proven 10 times over. I mean, we're using it for everything. I mean, what can't you use it for? They're using it for everything you can think of. What can't you use it for? So obviously it's got major uses, and I mean, look behind me. I'm showing Abcann's site. I don't know if you can see the live stream, but I'm showing the Abcann site, and they're talking about it's streaming and scrolling, talking about all the advantages of Abcann. So it's pretty exciting to see that they've got a product that is chemical and pesticide free, which has been a major issue already with Organogram and potentially now with Aurora Cannabis, and that they are organic. I think that's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. They have strict regulations with the employees that work there. Before they even start their shift in a day over there, these people actually take showers before they get into their bio suits, because they pretty much wear what would look like to you to be a kind of a bio suit that they wear that is totally clean. I mean, they walk down corridors there. They have these air showers. So when they're moving from room to room, doing various processes involved in the growing of their marijuana, because they have several different rooms where these plants graduate, and they move them around according to their stage of growth and whatnot, and extremely clean. You know, they wear masks, very little exposure to any kind of contaminants for these plants. They they have some of the best results as far as growing marijuana within a 1 square foot space. They can grow the marijuana, and as far as the quantity of marijuana that they can grow within that 1 foot space exceeds all other LPs, all
Wow.
other licensed producers.
Wow.
They can grow
Wow.
more marijuana in that 1 foot square space than these other LPs that are doing it.
You guys hear that at home?
Utilize-
Do you guys hear that at home? They are able to grow more medical marijuana in a 1 foot square space than any other LP that is out there right now and is licensed by Health Canada. And these guys have a license, correct?
They have a license, yes, they do. And another thing I'd like to point out, about their license. Health Canada really likes this company because the great thing about Abcann, they focus specifically on the medicinal, although they will be taking part in the recreational space. But they're focusing a lot of their expertise on the growing of the medicinal marijuana because they recognize the fact that pharmacies are looking for a standardized grade of marijuana that is the same grade of marijuana every single time. So if there's a patient that requires a certain type of marijuana THC content and CBD content in it, they can reproduce that same medicine for that individual every single time. So if a guy's 6 months ago was getting a particular medicine from Abcann, they're producing the identical medication. 6 months later, they can produce the identical medication. So that patient can count on their medicine being the identical type of medicine that they require on a consistent basis. So Health Canada applauds them for what they're doing, and in regards to that, they're probably one of the best guys that, as far as consistency goes, they're probably the number one, I would say.
Now, I also, when we were talking, you mentioned the size of their facility was just enormous. Can we touch on that?
Well, the facility that they're operating now is only 14,500, which is still a nice, bit of space. A lot of these companies, I know that Supreme is only currently operating out of 16,000 square feet, so they don't have much more room. But again, Supreme doesn't have a license to sell, so they're just growing at this time. Anyways, but let's talk about that space. That 14,500 square feet they're operating out of now. They can produce the capacity of 40,000 kilograms. Oh, no, that's out of their phase two. Their phase two is going to be 150,000 square foot facility, which is they've broken ground and they're working on now. So they're building that facility now.
Wow.
And they're going to be approved for that facility for 71,000 square feet of growing space at that time. So they're able to produce 20,000 kilograms annually out of that space.
Wow.
So that's in the future, that other 150,000 square feet. They also have another 65 acres that has been paid for and bought in a industrial zone where all the things that are required by the government, like water, disposal, all the things that they require to operate within, Health Canada's and I guess the government regulations. This is a property that they plan on in later time, which is going to accommodate. Check this out. Talk about Aurora having some ambitious future plans. They plan to, in that third phase, they plan on being able to utilize up to 1.2 million square feet with that third allocate more of their space for the recreational individual later on.
Well, think about it this way, okay? A year from now, everybody in Canada is going to be able to have 30 grams in them at all times.
Yeah.
Everybody is also going to have the ability to grow it themselves. So, how do you think that's going to affect a lot of these companies? Do you think that a lot of people will just start growing it themselves and these companies won't make as much money because people are going to say, why would I want to go buy it from them? I'll just grow it myself. Do you think that that's going to have an effect on these companies?
Um, I think there might be some impact on that. Um, but again, you got to realize that if they're going to allow these people to grow, 4 plants, everyone allowed to be growing 4 plants. I don't know. They're not going to be growing those plants as medicine. That's for sure. They might be growing it for their own personal use, but they're
Well,
not growing
yeah,
it
that's well, you're actually allowed to do any type of growing at your home based on this new legislation. So you're allowed to do CBDs, you're allowed to grow 30 grams. They're giving you
Sure.
the ability to be your own licensed recreational producer. Everybody, every single Canadian over the age of 18, as of Canada Day 2018, will have the ability to have 30 grams on them at all times. They will have the
Yeah.
ability to grow it in their own homes. They're going to have the ability to manufacture marijuana products on their own, to be their own little dispensary for themselves.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. It's kind of
I
interesting.
see they have these systems here that they're offering now for personal homegrown users where they have it looks almost like a refrigerator, and it's full of these LED lights, and you can, they're now starting to market some of these products to be able to, for the average person to be able to grow at home. So
Yeah,
you can get pretty close. You can create a nice microclimate in these with these very very sterile conditions also right in your own home. But there's a bit of an investment in that too, because I don't think you're ever going to get the kind of quality of marijuana when it comes to medicinal grade. You're not going to be able to do that out of a pot sitting on your deck, and waiting for I don't know how long before you harvest it. It's not going to be the same grade, medicinal grade type marijuana that you would get from Abcann, where a lot of people want that medicinal marijuana, and they need that medicinal, the same strength every time, which is what Abcann does, right? And the one thing that I'd like to mention about Abcann, I found this a very very heartwarming story to know about Abcann. There's a little girl in Kingston, Ontario, who suffers from extreme epilepsy and has quite a few seizures every day, to the point
wow.
where she can't go to school. She couldn't do a lot of things because the amount of seizures she was going through. Well, because medicinal marijuana, even only right now, we heard of Loblaws employees and Shoppers employees being able to benefit from their benefit plan, where they can now get up to $1,500 worth of their marijuana paid for that.
That's right.
So once that starts to more insurance companies come on board with that sort of thing, it would be a wonderful thing. But it makes it very expensive for someone who really needs that medicine, especially this young little girl who had all these epileptic fits. Abcann is supplying their medicine for that little girl for free.
Wow.
So yeah, they made sure that this little girl got what she needed, because they were in the position where they couldn't afford to buy the marijuana from a dispensary for the amount of marijuana this little girl needed. It just wasn't. They couldn't afford it. So Abcann decided that they're going to give her medicine for free, which I think was a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, I think that that's incredible. I mean, the
Yeah.
ability to help other people and make a difference in their lives, I just think that's incredible. And then obviously the public relations spin on that is also very good, to say, hey, you know what? We're not only focused on making a difference. We're not only focused on making money, but moreover, we're focused on making a difference. So I think as a public relations aspect, it's a huge win. And obviously, whenever you're making a difference and helping people, that's always a great thing too. Now, one of the things that I'm a little bit concerned about, I've talked to a lot of my friends, and a lot of my friends that are interested in the recreational marijuana, because anyone over the age of 18 in a year will be able to have 30 grams on them at all times. So if you have two people, you're allowed to have 60 grams in your home with two people. If you have four people, you're going to be able to have 120 grams between four people. It's a little bit crazy, actually. It's a little bit overwhelming to believe this is all actually happening. So my thing is, why would you go and buy from a medical marijuana dispensary when you're hearing that they're having issues with pesticides, when you're hearing they're having issues with having insects in their crops, when you're hearing all these issues, they're having issues using the wrong nutrients? I think you're almost better off staying on the private sector with guys that actually have been doing it for years, that know what they're doing, as opposed to buying from these licensed producers who apparently are still trying to figure it out. What do you think about that?
Well, good point. It's an interesting point. Obviously, those people are strictly interested in the recreational space and the recreational space only. Let's face it, these people have been growing their own marijuana for years.
Of course.
In a bush somewhere or wherever they chose to, hide their little stash to grow. And, they're also subject to all sorts of things themselves there too. Insects, their crops being eaten by varmints. So unless you've got it almost sitting on your deck and then you got it sitting on your deck, you got the neighbor next door who's looking over the yard and watching your marijuana grow and figures, why should I grow it when I can go over there in the evening and steal his plants and
go grab his plants, eh?
That's been going. The crop robbing has been going on for a long time. People are so sick and tired of their crops being robbed from them that they've stopped growing their own, and they just turned into robbing other people of their crops because they put in all this effort. They wait for the end of the summer or whatever until harvest, and then someone else gets their marijuana.
Absolutely.
And you've been taking care of it, you've been watching it, and then someone comes along and steals it from you, right? So, but then again, all's fair in love and war, right? You're in a kind of a space where, it's an illegal act, and there's not much you can do about it anyway. So, what are they going to do? Are people going to complain to the police now that if they get their marijuana stolen from them, they got a reason to call the police about it? They're going to laugh at them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, so your marijuana got stolen. Did any of your corn get stolen too? How about any do you got any tomato plants? Were they stolen? No.
Yeah.
Just the marijuana.
Nobody's interested in stealing any vegetables. They just want to steal the greens, the medical marijuana. Now, what about the issue about price? One of the major concerns I've heard from people is they're saying, why would I buy medical marijuana for $10 a gram, which was being shown right on Abcann's website? So if you were to buy 28 grams, you pay $280. Well, from what I've heard, the average going price for an ounce across Canada is about $200. So why would you want to pay $240 to $280 when you can get the same type of quality on the street for $200?
Well, first of all, you won't be able to get it off the street because anyone who starts trying to sell the marijuana is going to be in a lot of trouble anyways.
No, but hold on, Attila. Let's be honest. They're not going to be able to stop people from selling it.
No, there'll always be somewhat of a little bit of a black market still going on.
I think there'll be a much bigger black. Hear me out for a second, Attila, because I know a lot of people in the industry. I promise you this: there will always be a black market. Always. The only way they eliminate the black market is if they reduce the prices. Because if they reduce the prices, then they squeeze all the guys in the black market out. The only reason why the black market exists is because of the price. Because if you could now take a $240 an ounce transaction through a medical marijuana recreational dispensary, and you get the exact same quality from your buddy down the street for 200, you're always going to pay 200. But if the medical marijuana dispensaries say, you know what, let's squeeze all these illegal guys out of the streets, let's reduce our prices to 200. Now you're talking.
Right.
But they're not going to do it. I'm telling you. And this is what I've been hearing from people saying, why would I pay 240 when I can pay 200? And I mean, if they go through an ounce a week, that's an extra $40 a week. That's an extra $160 a month. That's an extra $2,000 a year that they're saving to go and get it from their buddy that doesn't have a license. And trust me when I tell you, that will continue. Because as long as guys like Mark Emery exist, the Prince of Pot, people will consistently exist in the black market until they outprice them by going cheaper. Which apparently they've done that in Colorado. I heard it's so cheap in Colorado that it's eliminated all the dealers, which has reduced the crime, and made the city just operate like a well-oiled machine. Everybody's so high and everybody's happy. Everyone's always having a good time.
Well, I believe that's what everyone's going to eventually. I think the industry is going to move in that direction where they are going to start, providing the marijuana for a cheaper price. These prices right now are mostly let's face it, it's illegal to buy anything other than medicinal marijuana right now. So, and people are getting the quality when they're buying the medicinal marijuana. They know exactly what they're getting. When you're buying it off that street guy or whoever it is who's just pushing whatever he grows or wherever he gets it, none of that is controlled where it's growing. I mean, you see all sorts of.
I think you would be surprised, Attila. I live here in Vancouver, and they have enormous grow operations here. They have them under the ground. They have them in trailers. They have them in warehouses. I think you'd be surprised.
Yeah, but I think those guys are going to be phased out.
Like I said, those guys are very wealthy and very rich and very powerful, and I don't see how they get phased out. The only way they get phased out, like I said, is if you reduce the prices of medical marijuana so that the person that is buying it from the medical marijuana dispensary is going to have to think twice and say, why would I buy it from my buddy down the street who's been in the industry for 20 years when I could just buy it from the medical marijuana dispensary with my driver's license, costs the exact same price. So obviously I'm going to go to the medical marijuana dispensary. It should be safer. It should be better. It should be healthier. That is what they need to do. If they do that, they will clean up this whole industry. But I'm telling you, they're not going to do it because of greed. And trust me, you guys are messaging in the room, jail. Do you honestly think jail has stopped Mark Emery? Jail hasn't stopped Mark Emery. The guy's making $500,000 a day illegally. You can shut down 10 shops, he's opening up 10 more. So the reality is jail isn't stopping people. Go ahead.
I give him a lot of credit for what he's doing because he's more than willing to do the time for what he believes in. So, and he's shown that time and time after, time again. But, I watched this one program one time on for Fifth Estate, I think it was, and they talked about, let's face it, BC is the marijuana capital of Canada.
Yes.
And a lot of people are doing it. I saw this program on there. They had this one mayor. They called him the marijuana mayor out there, right?
It's crazy out here.
It's crazy out here. I can't believe it. There's a little town out there where they say that 80% of this little town's population is growing marijuana in their basements.
Apparently the word around BC is that 1 out of every 5th house is a grow up.
Oh, I believe it.
That's 20% of our homes. And isn't it funny that we've got the most expensive real estate in the world too?
Yeah, it is. It's
and then they said that money doesn't grow on trees. Apparently it does. Apparently it does grow on trees. Who
Yeah,
knew?
it does. It does.
So I just think it's very interesting. This is a conversation that I've had with many people. A lot of people I know are getting licensed. A lot of people are saying that they'll continue to pay less as long as the medical marijuana pricing continues to stay so high. So my advice to the big recreational distributors, if you guys want to see your stocks turn around, want to see your companies do well, my advice to you guys is reduce your pricing, make it reasonable for the average individual, and then you'll be able to actually eliminate the black market. But until you are able to do that, I anticipate that the black market will consistently operate, and I would anticipate that at least 50% of all the business that goes down in Canada will always be in the black market until they reduce the pricing for medicinal marijuana.
Well, Rich, let's look at it a different way. How many people do you think right now who have medicinal marijuana licenses? And you know what? It's been growing monthly. People keep, getting these medicinal marijuana licenses. How many of those people do you think that are really getting the medicinal marijuana for medicinal purposes?
I'd say about 50%.
Well, it's still a pretty big number, right? At least half of them. I would say at least half of them.
I think a lot of people. I think a lot of
are
people
getting the marijuana through them because they don't want to have to deal with, the growing of it, the being stolen from them. There's the quality issue, which they're pretty sure they know they're getting the quality. They don't have to go through all that bull, and how many of them how many of these, and the point I'm making is a lot of these people, there's nothing absolutely wrong with them. What's wrong with them is they can't get recreational marijuana, so they decided to get a medical license because it's so easy to get. All you need is a bad back.
Yeah, of course. Anybody can get it, but we're living in an age now, and I think you'll agree, Attila, where mental illness is a major issue. And one of the biggest side effects or characteristics of medical marijuana is that it helps people with mental illness. It helps people with depression. It helps people with stress. So how many people are struggling with that? Pretty much everyone.
Well, I think I might have discussed that with you one time. We as human beings, as people, we seem to need some kind of an outlet.
That's right.
Before it was just alcohol. That was our outlet. And now, they've introduced all sorts of other drugs, and I don't call those outlets. I don't know. I think heroin is a very dangerous drug. I think, some of these other drugs are quite dangerous. Fentanyl has become a very serious problem.
According to Mr. Jeff Sessions in America, marijuana and heroin are the same drug.
Well, yeah, and I believe that Mr. Sessions probably carries a great big wooden club and drags his women that he's interested in by the hair, dragging them on the ground. He's a caveman.
My question is, when he gets off stage, does he immediately go into his pocket, pull out his pipe, and start smoking some marijuana? That's my question. Because it's like, how do you know, Mr. Sessions? How do you know? Unless you've tried it. How would you know unless you've tried heroin? Maybe he's tried heroin.
I think that's his own personal philosophy, which is kind of, very, very kind of
Just
outdated.
saying. I mean, how would you know that marijuana and heroin are the same unless you've tried them both? Maybe he participates with both on a regular. Who knows?
I think he's just shooting his big mouth off, and making it appear that it falls in the same category as those extremely hard drugs. But getting back,
I've never in my life heard of anybody that moved from marijuana to heroin. Never heard of it in my life.
Well,
Never.
I've heard people say that it's the start of going on to harder drugs, and I don't believe that at all either.
I disagree completely. I disagree completely.
To starting other drugs, no way.
I disagree completely. And I don't see people that are smoking a joint 1 second and then shooting up heroin the next. It doesn't happen. I mean, on 420, I'm going to be down in Vancouver for the biggest 420 party in the world. Okay? And I will be streaming and I will be live. Okay? And I'm going to show you guys the footage. And I'll show you guys a lot of people getting high, a lot of people smoking marijuana, a lot of people getting along, listening to music, having a great time. Everybody getting along, nobody fighting, a bunch of police officers just making sure they manage the peace. But that's all you're going to see is a bunch of people having a good time, being peaceful, and you won't see one person shooting up heroin. I'll tell you that much. Not one.
Right.
You're not going to see a guy take a hit of a joint and then take a hit of heroin 2 seconds later. You just don't see it. I'm sorry. Now, maybe someone who's doing heroin might want to take a hit of some joints, but the reality is you don't see people smoking joints and then moving to heroin. In fact, you see people smoking joints and then they move to different types of joints, because if you're a marijuana connoisseur, you like different kinds of marijuana. You don't like your marijuana in one jug, in one jar, and then your heroin is in the next jar next door. I just don't see it. I don't hear it. In fact, I think he's a complete moron to even put them in the same category. And I'm going to call you out, Mr. Sessions. You're a moron.
No,
You're a moron.
He's
It's
making
true.
false statements, and I don't know. He's just, I think again, those statements slowed down the marijuana industry in the United States also. So that was his attempt to stall the implementation of the marijuana. Even making that statement where he intends on implementing federal law, even in the states that have already legalized recreational marijuana. He intended on imposing federal law on those states, which means that the federal law still means that marijuana is illegal in the eyes of American federal law. So, but slowly, half the country has already embraced the medicinal marijuana, and the recreational users, the states that's growing also. Each one of the states, a lot of the states are coming on board with the recreational also, slowly but surely.
Colorado is making so much money. Why wouldn't every other state want to get in the game? It's silly not to want to get in the game. And you've got this moron saying that it's like heroin. How can someone actually take that idiot seriously? I'll be honest with you. Someone in our room just said, get him on our show. I don't want that jerk on my show. He's an idiot. That's like getting the senile grandfather who just talks out of his ass on my show. I actually like intelligent people that actually know what they're talking about on my show. Not some idiot granddad who's a redneck that's comparing marijuana to heroin, who probably got a crack pipe himself. He must be smoking a lot of that good crack. He must be smoking a lot of that good crack to be comparing marijuana to heroin. He must be getting that good old crack. That's what I'm talking about. Because, man, I don't know where this guy's coming from. I don't know what rock he crawled out of. I don't know what cave he came out of. Like you said, he is definitely some kind of a caveman living in the 16th century, riding his horses, because I don't know what planet he's on, but we live in Vancouver here, where we're the medical marijuana capital of the world, and I'll tell you right now, you don't see guys smoking marijuana and smoking crack. It just doesn't happen. I've never seen it once, in fact. Not once.
No, either have I.
Not once. Never in my life. Never in my life have I been at a party, had a guy smoke a joint, and two seconds later pull out his heroin and say, hey guys, want a hit? Never in my life, in 39 years on this planet, have I seen it. And I'll tell you right now, never in my life have I gone to a party in Canada that didn't have marijuana. But I can't tell you that I've gone to a party in Canada that actually did have heroin.
No, I've never even seen it in my life,
Just saying. I never seen it, never been around it, never touched it, never smelt it, don't want anything to do with it. But Mr. Jeff Sessions, he likes to put them in the same category. Marijuana is here, and apparently heroin is right here too. They're together. They're one. They're the same thing.
Well, very, very silly attitude. Very poor attitude he's got.
Come on,
But,
man.
another
Get it
thing
together.
about I'd like to mention about the alcohol part too. In every one of these legalized states, all of the alcohol consumption has come down considerably, and the Canadian government is expecting that here too. They expect all the beers and the alcohol companies to lose a pretty large share of users of their products because now they're going to have marijuana. The kind of people still want, like I mentioned earlier, we still seem to need something. We got alcohol, we're using alcohol. It kind of, you come home at the end of a hard day and whatever, you want to sit down and have a few beers, or even on the weekend have a few beers. And some of these people go a little bit overboard, and I can't really, to tell you the truth, I can't stand watching people abusing the alcohol to the point where they're crawling on their hands and feet because they're incapable of even walking.
But why is that okay? Why is alcohol? Wow, guys, BITCF, guys, full alert. BITCF is now at 84 cents. Can you believe this? It is up 39% today alone.
Wow.
And I'll tell you guys this right now. If you do not believe in the rich system of following winners, I'm sorry, guys, then you will never, ever, ever win on deals like this because this is a winner. If you'd rather follow losers and you want to follow the losers, you will never find a winner. And this is precisely why I talk about buying winners. Because when you buy winners, you win. You profit and you make money. When you follow losers, you lose. You lose money, and that sucks. And this is why I've been talking about today, that the only thing you guys should be looking at, the only thing you guys should be buying is a winner. And the only winner I see going up today and yesterday and the day before that 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 is BITCF. It's the only one.
Yeah.
And we identified it first. And we will continue to talk about it. We will continue to identify it because that is what we do in Rich TV Live. We identify the winners. We do it first before anybody else on the planet can try to take the credit for it. And if you go through the archives, you will see that I found the stock at 4 cents, guys. But guess what, guys? This stock didn't come from 4 cents. This stock came from 001 in the underworld. This stock is up. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this number? 80,000%. That's right. This stock is up 80,000%, which means if you bought $1,000 worth of this stock 6 months ago at 001, your $1,000 today would be worth. Are you ready for this, Attila?
Lay it on me.
$800,000.
Wow.
And you guys tell me you don't want to buy stocks?
This is, I think, where the marijuana stocks are going to be heading too. They're going to be heading for a great big, uptrend, closer probably to the actual legalization date is when we're going to really see some real movement of this of the marijuana industry.
Well, I think that what's going to happen is that companies are going to start getting listed in America only because of IROC. Now, isn't it funny that BITCF is a Canadian company located in Vancouver, our own home here, but they're listed only in America? Have you guys noticed that? And isn't it funny they're only listed in America? They're not listed in Canada because why would they want to take the chance of getting halted by IROC?
Right.
So isn't it funny that we see this move here of a Canadian company listed in America only, and it hasn't been halted? It hasn't gone caveat emptor. It's just steadily climbed up 80,000%. That's right, 80,000%. It's just crazy. And I continue to show you guys every day. And the best part is people come on the show and they try to talk about other stocks. And I laugh and I'm just like, why? Why would I look at anything else? I mean, let's be real, guys. We're looking for winners. This is the biggest winner in the world. It's a 100% buy on par chart, top 1% signal strength, guys. Take a look. top 1% signal strength, 100% buy on bar chart. You know I love these top 1% signal strengths and 100% on bar chart. And look at this, guys. Here's the evidence. As of October 12th, 2016, 6 months ago, the stock is up 77,899%.
Wow.
And we brought it to you first here on Rich TV Live, guys. And that's what we do here on Rich TV Live. That is the power of our channel. That is the power of our community. That is the power of live streaming. We can bring you the winners, we can watch them, and we can all profit from them. And we can all get rich together. And I don't want to know about your garbage stocks that don't trade, don't go up, and don't win. I want to know about the winners. And the only stock that I'm really looking at today, to be quite honest with you, is BITCF. Because it's a winner. We've been talking about it every day, and it just continues to go up. Now up 40% on the day. It's at 81 by 82 cents, traded 2.5 million shares. It is a winner. And people keep asking me, Richard, is it too late to get in? Well, what do you think? It just went up another 40% today. So was it too late to get in yesterday?
You know, I see that. I see that Bitcoin doing what the original Bitcoin there in Japan was doing and China was doing. Look where it's sitting at now.
$1,000 a share. $1,000 a share. So this is not even at a buck. And I remember telling Dennis when he got into 9 cents and it went up to 30, I'm like, Dennis, get out, take your money and run. And Dennis said, no, Rich, you know what, this one, I think this one's got legs, Rich. So I'm going to let this one ride. He's like, I let Bitcoin pass me by before at $7. It went to 1,000. I'm not going to let this puppy pass me by. And you know what? He's up right now over 800% because he got in at 9 cents. Yeah. So let's put that in perspective. I don't know how much money he put in because it's not my business. But if he put in $1,000, he's made $8,000. If he put in $5,000, he's made $40,000. If he put in $2,000, he's made $16,000. Either way, he's winning. That's the sniper trade right there. He sniped that trade when I was at the hospital. He's calling me up. I'm at the hospital doing x-rays on my broken hand. He's calling me up saying, you know, Rich, I'm fixing to get me some BITCF. That's exactly what he said. You know, Rich, I'm fixing to get me some BITCF. And you know what? He did. And he got in, and he's winning. And the only reason why I didn't get in at 4 cents because I tried to buy it, and I tried to buy $10,000 worth. And I'll be honest with you, that $10,000 worth today would be worth $200,000. How crazy is that? Okay? But whatever, it's just money. But the thing is, I'm happy that people within the community are winning because I couldn't buy the stock within Canada, even though it's a Canadian company. How ironic is that? How ironic is that? Now, we probably can buy it now because that's 88 cents. I'm assuming we can buy it now in Canada. I hope we can, and maybe I will. But the reality is, I love watching people within our community win. It gives me as much enjoyment watching people in our community win as it does when I win. It really does. It makes me feel really great to see people within the community winning. And I think Abcann is going to be a huge winner. And I think it has huge potential. And I know you do too. And they're right there in Ontario, aren't they?
They're actually, yeah, they're right in Napanee. And, you know, I actually live right here in the Napanee area myself. I drive by their facility every day, you know, and although I've got some of the local news about them because some of the local papers have done articles about Abcann and stuff, because obviously being within that area, it's going to be a major news for this area, right? They're going to employ a lot of people. They're, you know, for a little town like Napanee, where jobs are at a premium already, they're going to bring a lot of employment to this area. So it's going to be a tremendous gain for the economy in this area also. So I love that too because let's face it, that industry brings a lot of money towards, you know, the economy of the area that these LPs are in.
Absolutely.
Which is going to help
of course.
Tremendously.
Absolutely. It's going to be a huge help. It's going to create jobs. It's going to create revenue. It's going to hopefully clean up our streets, eliminate all the black dealers that are operating in the marketplace. And I hope that somebody is watching and they realize what they're doing and they can come to conclusion that if you want people to stop selling drugs illegally in Canada. The only way you're going to be able to do that is if you reduce the prices.
Yeah. And you know what I'm reading? I'm
Telling
reading
you
here
guys.
on the Abcann site here. You know that Abcann, their clientele, the people that buy their marijuana from Abcann, have a 94% customer retention rate, which is one of the
Wow.
highest in the industry.
Wow.
So the people who buy the medicine from Abcann, they consistently keep coming back from Abcann because they know exactly what they're getting. So I think a lot of people like that.
Of course they do.
Right?
Of course they do. When you have a product that you like and you can go back consistently, that's the type of company that I want to invest in. Now, I've heard that Abcan is going to go public at 80 cents. I believe at 80 cents that might be a pretty good price. What do you think? Now, you've talked to some brokers that had said that they think it's going to open up at $1.10. Is that correct?
That's right. You know, and I've seemed to experience that myself. You know that when I've taken or put some attention into one of these IPOs, that although they might be asking a certain price the night before or the day before they IPO, on the day the market's open and they IPO on that date, um, they're usually asking 20. You know, when I try to buy, they're usually already asking 20 cent. Well, 20. I'm going to say 10% more, at least minimum 10% more than what they're advertising or what has been advertised originally. So I don't think Abcann is going to be selling to the when they IPO. It won't be 80 cents. You'll be probably paying closer to a buck 10, maybe buck 20. I don't know.
Now,
I don't know what that number is going to be.
We talked about THCX. That was the last company that IPO'd, correct?
That was the most recent one that we talked about. Yes, Hydropothecary THCX. That was out of Quebec. That was the only LP licensed producer in Quebec, and they were like Abcann. They had a license, but they weren't a public company. They were a private company, and so now, you know, Abcann is becoming a publicly traded company, just like Hydropothecary. So yeah, and look what that stock did. I mean,
So I got Hydropothecary on my screen right now. It's currently it's just shot up. It's at $2.15. It was as low as $1.95 today. Right now, it just hit $2.15. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's making a big move right now. My question is, what price did it become public at? Do you remember?
That's I think it was about $1.40, but they went as high as $2.70 when they IPO'd. I think in the first day or two they went up to almost $2.70.
Wow. So
THCX, I got it on my screen. It's here. It's still down. It's showing it down 0.47, but I'm looking at it at 210.
Okay, so here it is. The lowest it's been was 67 cents, September 28th. It was at 67 cents. Since then, it is up 211%. And in the last month alone, it's up 40%.
Yeah.
THCX, guys.
I'm looking at it here. It's showing me the IPO date, which was, I think, November, December, March. I believe it's March when it IPO'd, March 30th, somewhere March 30th.
I don't know. Is there an American symbol for THCX, or is it only listed in Canada?
Not that I know of. Not that I'm aware of.
We'll try to find it. We'll try to find it, definitely. Try to find that THCX.
I see it here at 6. It was at, like you say, 60 cents in September, but it was, when it IPO'd, it was at about $1.50.
Wow. So check this out, guys. It IPO'd at $1.50, went all the way down to 67. Now has climbed all the way back to $2.15 as we speak.
And I see the high.
It's at $2.15.
The high, just several days after the IPO, went up to $2.79.
So these stocks
are like all the other ones, right?
So these stocks are very volatile, And what it shows you is you need to be a sniper, you need to be a ninja, you need to watch them. There is a chance that Abcann is going to open up at 80 and go to $1.10. There's also a chance that Abcann might go lower. So you don't want to rush and guess and buy on hype. Because every time I've ever bought on hype, I've always ended up losing. I'll give you a great example. Look at HMMJ. It's a little bit disturbing, but I got to show it. HMMJ.
And who is that? Is that Kronos Group?
No, HMMJ is the medical marijuana ETF.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
HMMJ.
It's still relatively new, right?
Yeah, it was new, but it became an IPO at $10.11. Went all the way up to $12.40. I got in at $11.39 thinking, oh, it's going to go higher. It did. It went to $12.40. Little did I think that they would halt the stocks the next day and take all the momentum out of the HMMJ ETF, which they've now done. And it's all the way back down now to the original price almost at $10.27.
Yeah.
It's down to the original IPO price.
They dropped two of the licensed producers too, right?
I just think that this goes to show that you don't need to rush to buy stocks. You need to be snipers, you need to be ninjas, you need to watch them, and you need to look to find the floor. And I'm telling you guys right now, this is the floor. For HMMJ, this is the floor. This is as low as they've been since their IPO. They've been as high as $12.40. They went as low today as $10.16. The same price.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Go ahead.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Go ahead.
I believe that Abcann is going to be one of the people that are going to be brought on board on that
ETF.
Because they've been public for the longest time now, Abcann. So they didn't get a chance to put Abcam on that list. But now that they're a public traded company, I think now they're going to be eyeballing Abcan to come on board because that ETF is really based on companies that are focusing a great deal on the medicinal side of the marijuana. You know, most of the companies that are associated with that ETF, correct me if I'm wrong, are they not medicinal marijuana producers?
Well, not all of them. Some of them are also, like a lot of them, like the bigger ones, like the GW Pharma, the ZYNEs, the Scott's Miracle Grows. Those are not licensed producers. Those are more pharmaceuticals. Obviously,
That's
Scott's
right.
Miracle Grow is in the growing side. So there's throwing it's in the soil part of the growing side. So there's a lot of different types of companies doing different things, but those are the major players. So those are the ones that I think are pushing this ETF. And if you take a look at GW Pharma, it's been going down a lot, which is disturbing. Yeah. GWPH has gone down and has been tumbling down. It was at $128. It's now today at $113. So you've seen one of the biggest company in the ETF tumble down from $128 all the way to $113, and that's obviously affected this entire ETF.
Right.
If I look at ZYNE, another company that was doing very well in the ETF, also down in the red today at $24. So a lot of the bigger companies are going down, and that's forcing the ETF down because they all kind of together. When one is down, they're all down. When one is up, they're all up. And that's kind of the way the ETF is now. They're all a team of stocks collectively working together as opposed to an individual stock trading on its own now. This is an entire team that's working together, and they're kind of in bed together. When they're all up, they're all winning. When they're all down, they're all losing.
Yeah, and that's what's happening now. I guess with that last announcement, ever since the announcement of the implementation of the marijuana recreational implementation here, legislation, anyways, all the stocks seem to have taken a hit. They looked at this news as almost in a negative kind of way, and all of the stocks show that. I mean, they've all gone down. You can almost pick any Canadian marijuana stock, it's down.
Well, think about it this way. Hear me out. They bring out this news that they're going to allow people to be able to buy recreational marijuana, right? So anybody that's not a licensed producer is going to take that news and say, okay, now we can actually make even more money because everybody's allowed to have 30 grams on them. So
Right.
if you're a black market dealer, you're sitting there going, this is great news because all the recreational people are going to come to us because we know that the licensed producers are going to sell it for more. So now on top of that, you don't even have to, everybody can have 30 grams on them. So who's to say where they got the 30 grams from?
Right. And you made a point there earlier there about if one or two people or three people in a household. If you have four people, they made a pretty good example of this here. The legislation that they claimed that everyone is allowed to grow up to four plants for their own personal consumption.
Yep.
So, for example, say you have a house that has four individuals in it, one home that has four individuals in it. That does not mean that every one of those individuals in that home can grow four plants. In that was clarified just the other day.
It's 4 plants per home.
Per home.
That is correct.
So
However, if you have 10 people living in a house, they're all allowed to have 30 grams each. So technically,
right.
You could have 300 grams in your possession if you had 10 people at the house.
Right.
So if I had a party and it's Canada Day 2018 and I invited 10 friends, legally everybody could have 30 grams on them each. And if the police came in here and busted it, then they wouldn't be able to do anything because legally everyone's allowed to have 30 grams each. We could have 300 grams of marijuana at the house legally and there's nothing anyone could do.
Yeah. And you know what? The other interesting thing I brought to your attention there the other day was that legislation. I watched the whole thing, and if I remember correctly, they're so concerned, and they made this such a big point that the marijuana getting into the hands of the youth,
yes,
and the people
yes.
underage.
Yes.
That and I looked at it as I'll give you my opinion in a second, but they claim that if someone were to sell an underage individual under these new laws now, sold any underage individual marijuana, that the jail term could be up to 14 years.
Wow.
So I almost would like to clarify that. I'm pretty sure
wow.
I heard it correctly. But yeah, that was just like when Harper was in government. You were allowed to, you weren't allowed to grow these plants, but there was a law out there when Harper made this law where if you were caught growing more than six plants or more, it was a mandatory, and I say it again, it was a mandatory jail sentence of 5 years if you were caught growing plants. And this is mandatory. It's like without a trial. We got him with 6 plants or more. It's a mandatory jail term.
Wow.
So I looked at that. Is the government didn't want you to cut in on their operation, so they made the law so strict because they wanted to cut out people obviously growing, these black market underground operations. So, to give you that the fear, they put the fear of God into you by saying if you were caught with growing more than 6 plants, you'd be doing a mandatory jail sentence. And look at that. Molson's Breweries was the greatest example. The biggest grow operation, probably I would say. I don't know about the world, but I'll tell you, that was the one, the big one. When they got busted, Molson Breweries, it was an old Molson Breweries facility, huge facility that was operating under years by a group of people that were growing marijuana in this facility, and it went undetected because it was such a huge building. Nobody questioned the amount of electricity consumption that was being used, and no one. It was a building that was no longer doing the beer, but they claimed that there was another juice box company that was operating out of this massive, massive building that they didn't need all that space to do what they claimed they were doing. But lo and behold, they got caught growing marijuana, and they were doing this for years before they were caught. You know how much marijuana these people must have grown?
Oh,
And
that's a
not
huge facility. That's the one right by. That's the one right by the 401, isn't it?
it is.
Wow, that's a huge one right by the airport.
Massive.
Right by the airport.
It's a massive, massive building. Right?
Wow. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that bus. That was crazy. That was nuts.
Not a single person did any time.
And that's the thing, you know, like, let me ask you a question. How do you think that makes any sense? You're going to give somebody 14 years to sell to a minor, which I agree with. We don't want minors getting addicted to drugs. So I totally agree with it. Put whatever sentence you want. I'm not concerned. I'm not doing it, so I don't care.
Right.
But what I'm saying is 14 years? That's like more than what you give someone for second degree manslaughter.
Yeah. And that's what I don't like about some of the laws that Canada
Really?
makes up here, because I think they do it on a whim almost. They must have a bunch of numbers sitting in a hat, and then they pull out a number and say, "Okay, we're going with this number," right? But I don't know if they put a whole heck of a lot of thought into some of this stuff that they implement. That's a little bit harsh, I think. I know, yes, there should be something harsh about selling, marijuana to minors or underage people. Like, they're concerned about the health, the mind being affected. They say that these 18-year-old kids and under are more susceptible to causing, abnormalities within the brain, so that they're trying to keep it out of the reach of these underage, but you know what?
I think it's actually. I actually think it's a good thing.
That's not going to stop them from getting it. I guarantee you.
Well, I think it might, because if you know that you're gonna get 14 years in jail just to have your name associated to a minor, I mean, all it's gonna take is one person to go to jail as the guinea pig, and then trust me when I tell you, people will think twice before they sell to minors. They will.
Well, yeah,
it's not worth
it. I'm talking about.
It's not worth it.
If the minors want it, Rich. If the minors
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. If minors want it, they will find a way to get it. But if you're somebody that's selling it, you're going to think twice before you don't check someone's ID. You're going to make sure that person's over the age of 18 because of the fact that these...
Have you ever had a kid at the beer store or liquor store as you're walking in ask you if you could buy them a six-pack?
Of course.
Because they knew they could. It's happened to me.
And I've never done it. I'll never do it because it's illegal. Yeah. Why would I do it? I'm going to go put myself at risk for what? Yeah, I'm going to put myself at risk for what? There's rules for a reason. I got children. Yeah. I don't want my kids hanging out by the liquor store, by the beer store, by the marijuana store when they're 16, 17, 15, asking strangers to go buy them marijuana and alcohol and cigarettes. And hopefully those strangers will say the same thing to those kids. Listen, when you're 18, you can buy whatever you want.
Yeah. They just got to wait. That's it.
Exactly. There's a reason why we have these rules, and I think that they're good. And I think that there's a reason. And I think that this 14 years is simply just a deterrent. It's going to make people think twice, and I think it's actually a good thing. I just hope that people take it seriously and they don't have to learn the hard way, because I think it would be pretty stupid that you end up spending 14 years in jail because you sold marijuana to someone that's 17 and a half years old. That'd be pretty horrible. Way to go out.
No, absolutely.
So please, be careful, guys. Learn the rules. Educate yourself. You don't want to be one of those people that get caught making a mistake because you're just being sloppy. Make sure you check IDs. Make sure you check licenses. Now, if somebody walks into your store with a fake ID, there's nothing you can really do in that situation. I don't really feel that that's your fault. So, there's going to be situations that are going to occur.
Yeah. And, I remember a while ago there that when I was getting into the marijuana, getting involved in the marijuana industry, and there were a lot of people out in D.C. that were, some guy pitched an investment across to me about getting involved into purchasing these little, remember when you could buy cigarettes out of a machine?
Yeah.
So it's like a dispensary for marijuana, but they're using like these little catering machines, that that allow you to buy marijuana through a machine,
But how do
right?
you
Which
check?
is
How do you check
the,
age though? How do you
under the
determine?
new laws. Under the new laws, you will not be able to buy. You will not be allowed to buy marijuana through these little dispensing machines.
Yeah, I
It
don't
is
think that
not
they're a
going to
very good
happen.
idea. I don't think they're a very good idea because I
No.
think you will have underage kids buying them from these machines. I mean, I see those I see those machines usually in adult only areas like casinos. I could see them putting them in like a casino or adult only entertainment places where it's 18 over where they're checking IDs just to get in. That would make sense.
Right.
So I could see them doing that and putting them in those types of adult only type environments. And I think in those situations, why not sell them in those machines? Everyone's over the age of 18. Everyone's checking their IDs. You can kind of tell whether or not someone's over the age of 18 or not just by looking at them. Usually these days.
Well, that might be later on down the road, maybe possibly, but based on what I heard, you will not be able to get marijuana through any dispensing machine at all right now. So,
Hey,
or
let's talk about real
until
quickly, Attila. We talked yesterday about who is involved in Abcann. Can we talk a little bit about that? We talked about yesterday some really big players are involved in Abcann. Can we get into that a little bit?
we can, yeah, we can get into it. Obviously, I don't know. I think some people know of a Chronos Group.
The
They're
big
pretty
boys,
popular.
the Chronos Group. You guys know I love the Chronos Group. They are involved in Abcann. And how much of a majority shareholder are they? Do you have those statistics?
Well, I read a number somewhere. I tried to find that I see so many. I open up so many newsletters that I can't remember where some of them. Some I delete, some I keep. I couldn't find this one again, but I could have swore they had someone had a 16% equity stake in Abcann Medicinals, and that was Chronos Group.
Wow.
Chronos Group definitely does
Wow.
have an equity stake in Abcann. That I know for sure. The number I can't commit to because I'm not 100% sure, but they do have a equity stake in Abcann, along with Hydropothecary and along with Whistler Medicinals.
What's the
So those
symbol?
are
What's
three.
the symbol? What's the symbol of Whistler Medicinals?
I think it's WMW. I can't. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure.
Is it WRW? Is it WRW?
It could be WRW. WRW. No, that's Winston Resources, I believe. Winston Resources is that's something else we can talk about maybe on another day because
Wow, Winston Resources is up 27% today. It's at 94 cents. Winston Resources is at 94 cents today, up 27%. WRW.
You know what?
Yep.
I watched them in the morning. In the morning, I wanted to. I was torn between buying them because they were up 2 cents, and I thought, geez, is this a start of something? But I wasn't focusing my attention on that because I was actually getting ready to talk more about Abcann today. But I would have loved to have bought that today. I was thinking about it, but I started to focus my attention into other areas. So, but yeah, Winston, Winston.
And Winston Resources is another medical marijuana company?
Well, yeah, look at the name, right? Resources.
Yep.
They used to be just like a lot of them were.
Mining company.
A mining company.
All the Canadian companies. They all used to be mining companies, and now they're all marijuana companies. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I love the way you put it the one time there, where one time they were spending millions of dollars trying to extract something out of the ground, and a lot of times coming up empty-handed while they're spending millions of dollars doing so. And meanwhile, they finally realized they could turn around, change their business practices, and they are now mining above ground.
Yeah. Now they're
mining the marijuana.
They're mining the marijuana.
Now because they mine for the marijuana, right?
Absolutely. Well,
You
you
can't
know,
keep
like I
mining.
told you guys, they always say that money didn't grow on trees. We were all told as we were kids money didn't grow on trees, but apparently it does now because if you're in the marijuana business, money does grow on trees and a lot of it does. In fact, one of our subscribers, Dennis, told me a story about a farmer who opened up a dispensary in Colorado, shut down his farm in Florida, moved to Colorado, opened up a dispensary, and do you want to know how much money he made in his first month? Are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
$1 million cash
Wow.
in his
First
first month. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So trust me when I tell you guys, it's a money making machine and money does grow on trees, guys. It really does.
Yeah. Hey, remember I brought this other company to you before there? It kind of been going up and down, more down than up. But take a look at it today. This is Eternity Healthcare. ETAH.
Yes, I'm aware of this one.
That's
ETAH.
that
Wow.
there.
It's
Yeah.
up 51%
They do,
today, guys. Up 51% today, ETAH, but it's only traded 7,000 shares. So very little volume, but we love the fact that it's up 51% today. ETEAH.
Well, you know what,
ETAH.
Rich? They're getting closer and closer to. They've already got an approval from the FDA for this needleless injections. You know, where people who have, especially people who have a phobia of needles. I think this is I remember, you know what it reminds me of? The Star Trek when the doctor used to give people injections. There was never a needle. It was always just you heard this little, you know, and we're getting closer to the reality of the future where we don't need needles to give people injections anymore. They have this needleless injection system, which is they're actually hired a company from Japan to make these cartridges that they need for this needleless system. And once that's done, and they start deploying their product to the, you know, to the hospitals and all sorts of other physicians, and I see this becoming an awesome thing later on. You know, they're nice and cheap right now, but I don't know. I see this later down the road just going crazy.
Hey man, we love finding those 4-cent stocks, 3-cent stocks, just like BITCF that moved all the way up to 80 cents. So if you think this is something that needs to be on our watch list and on our radar, we'll be watching it very carefully. I can tell you that. There's no doubt about that.
And you see the one, there's a couple, you know what, and I'm kind of glad I sold it the other day, was ICC, International Cannabis Corp., one of my other favorite marijuana stocks. They're out of Uruguay. They're on the cusp of the recreational. It's pretty much throughout their entire country. Recreational is pretty much legal over there.
Uruguay.
And
that's right. That's the company
Uruguay.
that's operating in Uruguay, and I really like them. I've got them in my Fab 5 right now, and I'm watching them very, very carefully.
They're all just like all the other marijuana companies. I'm looking at them now. Most of them are almost 95% of them are all down. There's only one or two that I can speak of that are actually going to go up in value, of any kind of value, though, I think. But Supreme is down to $1.57. ICC is down to $1.12.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
You know, like they've just been making this reversal on the marijuana stocks. It's hard to say. I think it's kind of hard to say what's the actual real catalyst, you know, for all these stocks. I mean, it's usually negative information from one company or another company, but for all of them to go down, it just looks like manipulation to me.
I think that tomorrow we can expect that there will be a huge explosion in the markets.
You think so?
Well, think about it this way. We had a huge explosion in the markets. They got halted. They went down for how many days in a row? They went up for like 5 days in a row. Now they've been down 5 days in a row. So what do you think the next thing's going to happen? It's going to go down again tomorrow. And what do you think is going to happen on Thursday, on 4/20?
Well, I'm hoping they go up. But look, that's what I expected when legislation was announced.
Yeah, but maybe they're thinking, we know they're going to run up like crazy on Thursday. Let's take it all down as much as possible. So Thursday, they've got room to run.
Well, I can only hope that that's what's what's going to happen.
Look at the way the stocks trade. It's so obvious the way these things trade. They come down, they go up, they come down,
Yep.
they go up, they come down, they go up. I mean, SL, Supreme Pharmaceuticals, was just at $1.50. Then it went to $1.90. Now it's back to $1.50. What does that tell you? Buying opportunity, guys. But like I said, do not chase losers. Keep watching them. I told you this yesterday. Why would I buy a stock guessing that it's the bottom when I'm going to watch, trust my eyes? My eyes don't lie, but people do. So my eyes are saying they're all going down every day. I'm not going to buy them. I'm going to wait. I'm going to watch them. And then when they hit the bottom and start coming back in the green, that's when you buy them. Because they go in streaks. They go up on a major streak 5 days in a row. They go down on a major streak 5, 6, 7 days in a row. They go up on a major streak 3, 4 days in a row. They go down 3, 4 days in a row. It's the trend. It's been the same trend over and over again. It's so obvious. It's predictable.
Yeah. If you pay attention to it every day, you can see that trend.
It's the same trend over and over again. I can pull up the chart right now. It's so predictable. It's so obvious. Let's take a look at SL. SL is the most predictable thing you will ever see in the world as far as trading. Supreme Pharmaceuticals. Because if you look at his chart, it goes up to 190, comes down to 150. Goes up to 190, comes down to 150. Goes up to 190, comes down to 150. You know that. You've seen it yourself. Let's look at it for the last 6 months. Let's pull it up. In the last 6 months, what has this thing done? Oh, sorry, it's the wrong one.
And this downtrend you're really right about that, being a buying opportunity, right? I mean, I've never seen Aurora Cannabis for this price that I see them at now.
Okay, I want to pull this. Sure, hold on 1 second for a second. I'm going to pull up this chart. So what's happened is, look at Supreme Pharmaceuticals. The bottom in October was $1.08. Then it started to climb. In November, it hit a bottom of $1.31. Okay? Then it climbed even more. Climbed all the way up to a high of, in November, it hit a high of $1.91. Watch the trend. Then what does it do? After it goes to 191, it comes back down. Crashes down to 159. Sound familiar? Isn't that around the price it's at right now? And what does it do after it goes to 159? It climbs back up. Goes back to 174. Then it decides to climb up even more. Goes up to, sound familiar? 187. Then it goes back down, guys. All the way back down to a low of 145. Sound familiar? Seems like kind of a floor, doesn't it? And then it jumps back up. All the way up to 171. Then it goes up a little bit more. And now we're into January. So in January, it climbs up to, January 13th, it climbs up to $1.85. Sound familiar? Didn't I tell you? It goes up to 190, comes down to 150. That is the floor and the ceiling, guys. This is what I'm talking about. Now is a buying opportunity, people. Understand the trend, okay? And let's take a look. It went from 187. It came all the way back down in March, just recently, after the news that we broke about the, what did you break? SL had issues with their
nutrient that they were using.
And we broke it live on Rich TV, guys. And we were talking about it as it was going down. And you sold your stock smartly. And it started to come down. And what did you do? It went down all the way to 125. Which is like the bottom of the bottom for SL. Which is a great buying price. Every time it gets to 125, you want to buy it. And didn't you buy it at 125?
I got rid of it when it started coming down after the news. I waited for a little while, but after watching it consistently go down every day, I finally sold it. I sold it at like $1.70 or $1.60, something like that, $1.60 or so. And I waited it to see how far it would go down. Well, like you say, it went down to $1.25. It started to climb quickly or slowly. Well, actually slowly, not so quickly. But as soon as I saw the uptrend, boom, I bought back in it again at $1.30.
So you got in just at such a good price, Attila, because it just touched 125 and it immediately bounced right back up the next day to 156. So you were up the next day, okay?
Yeah.
And then it climbed all the way up. It found a floor around 150, and it climbed all the way up to, guess what? 185. And I sold it when it did that run at 183, okay? And I was
quite happy when it did that.
And I was very happy with my execution. The mistake I made is I took that money and put it into HMMJ, which was climbing at the time, was up 10% a day after I bought it, and then the halts came. And the halts killed all the stocks, all of them, and you can see what happened to Supreme Pharmaceuticals. It's now back to 158. So I believe 150 is the floor on Supreme Pharmaceuticals. You may see it go a little lower, as low as 125. You'll see the dips where it goes as low as 125, 145, 125. But it is few and far between, and if you want to get in at that price, you got to put your order there and just let it sit there. But the reality is, if you're just trying to get in at a floor, 150, these prices right now for Supreme, these are good prices. And if you buy at these prices, you can get out at 180, 190 pretty comfortably and get a nice little return on your investment. This is why I'm saying you got to be a sniper. You got to be a ninja. You need to wait for your opportunity. And when your opportunity presents itself, you need to pounce. You need to sniper and you need to buy low, sell high. But the way I've been seeing these go down day after day after day, I wouldn't buy it today. Because I think they're still going down. I think they can still go down even more. So why buy today when you're watching with your own eyes and you're seeing it go down every single day? It's just, it would be silly to rush to buy these and guess that this is the bottom when we've been seeing a major sell-off day after day after day. Let's see the red turning to green before we start loading up on marijuana stocks again. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's how you trade like a sniper, and that's how you trade like a ninja.
Not everybody, has that. A lot of people trade with emotion in their heart, and we've discussed that in the past before. You have to leave your emotion and your heart out of it.
Leave your emotion at the door. When you guys are trading, leave your emotion at the door. Every time I see green, I'm thinking about selling. And that's the way you guys got to think about your stocks in your portfolio. Keep your finger on the trigger and always be ready to sell. I've never seen a profit I didn't like. When you don't profit, the only alternative in the market is a loss. So don't be afraid to win, be afraid to lose. And every time you don't win, the only alternative to winning is losing. So the alternative sucks. So learn to win, learn to be happy with winning. A lot of people are in the room talking about how they bought BITCF, sold at 40. Well, you could have immediately bought in again at 40 and then sold again at 60. And then you could have bought again at 60 and sold again at 80. Nobody's saying after you win, you can't buy a winner again.
Here's, I'd like to mention, I'd like to change the company for just a second. If we can talk about another one for a minute. There's obviously everyone knows Aurora Cannabis, one of the monster guys that are going to be the monster guys. These guys here are pretty ambitious. They're building a 1 million square foot facility, state-of-the-art facility for their, and it's going to be sometime in 2017, it's going to be finished. So sometime this year, they will have that 1 million square feet. Just read something.
I love that deal. Yeah. Even if they do have insects in their crops, I still love the deal because that's just going to create more of a buying opportunity for us. So let it go down, baby. Let it go down.
Yeah, nobody, these people who buy the license from the licensed LPs, they don't want to see bugs. They don't want to see bugs in their marijuana when they're rolling up a doobie or whatever for the medicine they're gonna apply to themselves. They don't want to see bugs, and they don't want to see pesticides. They want to know that that plant hasn't been sprayed with chemicals, and you're not inhaling those chemicals along with it. So, but let me just talk quickly about. I don't know if you were aware of this. Here's a story that's from the 11th of April. Okay, Aurora just acquired, I don't know if people know about this, Aurora just acquired its third growing facility after closing the purchase of Peloton Pharmaceuticals Inc., a Montreal area late-stage ACMPR applicant. Peloton is constructing a state-of-the-art 40,000 square foot cannabis production facility in the city of Pointe Claire, Quebec. Okay, so Hydropothecary is the only other licensed producer in Quebec. Quebec has
Wow.
a very, very large population, right?
The second largest.
Licensed producer.
That's right.
There's one thing.
The second largest population in Canada is in Quebec.
Anyways, let me go
behind
on
Ontario.
This is
Go ahead.
really interesting. This facility's what happened, which received a ready-to-build letter from Health Canada in 2014. So they started building it, and what happened was they ran out of funds. And what happened was Aurora just purchased it while it wasn't quite completed, and Peloton was sold to Aurora, bought them for $7 million, okay? So they're completing that facility.
Wow.
And so now the great thing about that is that they say that a lot of these other licensed producers aren't going to do well in the Quebec space because the Quebec space seems to still want to do business within the confines of the Quebec government or the Quebec area. So now what they have here is they have now another producer in Quebec other than Hydropothecary who will be able to meet the needs of the Quebec people, because I just read an article this morning there is going to be, and there's no doubt in the government's mind, that there will be a shortage of marijuana, especially when the recreational comes on board.
Oh yeah, because everybody will be able to come out of the woodworks and just acquire it and buy it and go to the. There's going to be lineups at these dispensaries.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
Here's another continuation of this story here. The facility is approximately 80% complete and will be ready for Health Canada's pre-license inspection in the second half of 2017. So sometime in the before the second quarter is over.
Wow. That's incredible.
So another thing here, Aurora is also well positioned in Australia after agreeing to a 19.9% stake in Canna Group.
Do you guys see what is happening? These medical marijuana companies are listening to Rich TV Live, and they are acquiring their growth, people. This is exactly what I told you guys was going to happen. All the big medical marijuana licensed producers are going to start acquiring all the private and all the small little public companies and bringing them under their own umbrella, because a lot of these smaller companies are not going to get licensed. A lot of these private companies are operating illegally. So the only way for these companies to really all operate legally is to partner up with these big monsters that have these licenses.
Okay, you marijuana people, listen to this. I got another. This is Aurora. Man, they've blown me away. Aurora is also well positioned in Australia with a 19% stake in Canna Group, first company in Australia licensed for research and cultivation in medical cannabis for human use. The deal made Aurora the cornerstone investor in the IPO. Check it out, people.
Wow.
Get your pens, write it down. Under the terms of the subscription agreement, Aurora has committed to subscribe 21,562,000 new fully paid ordinary shares in Canna Group. IPO offer price share of AUD is 30 cents for that IPO that they're opening in Australia.
AUD is the symbol. All right. Well, we're
AUD.
going to put that on our watch list, and we're going to put that on our radar as well. We'll be watching it very, very carefully.
IPO, listen to this, is expected in May 2017.
That's about a month away, guys. So We're going to be watching it very carefully. We break all the news here first. We are breaking
I love the
Abcann
IPOs.
news today. Attila is breaking the Abcann news today that this is the new medical marijuana IPO. They will be IPOing next week on Tuesday or Wednesday. He is following the company very carefully. And I'm sure when they do IPO, maybe Attila can come live and we can watch it. We can talk about the stock while it's trading live. And we can talk about our opinions on it and what we think it's going to do. I know that Attila thinks that he's already talked to some of the investor relations people, and they believe it's going to open up as high as $1.10 right off the bat. I think you need to be a little bit more of a sniper and be careful because a lot of these stocks, when they IPO, initially they might go up right away and then they will come back down. So I think it's smart to be a sniper, stay on the sidelines, be a ninja, don't get emotional, don't jump into these stocks just because of hype, because as quickly as they come up, they will also quickly come down. And remember, IROC, they can halt stocks here in Canada. So we don't know what's going to happen, but the reality is you want to be a ninja, you want to be a sniper, and you want to put Abcann on your radar. It will be public next week under the symbol ABCN, Apple, Bob, Charlie, Nancy. All right, Attila, we've been live for almost an hour and 40 minutes, my friend. I think we're going to have to call it a day. I'll let you go back to doing what you're doing. I'm going to go back to looking for more picks. I really appreciate you coming on the show again, my friend. You are a fountain of information, a fountain of knowledge. Is there anything else you want to leave the listeners with today before you go?
Yeah, I just want to say something on Abcann's behalf before I go. I think Abcann is going to be a great company to invest in. I think Abcann for sure is going to be. They're making their mark all over the world too. They're associated with people in Israel. I don't know if people realize this, but did you know that the most in Europe? Are you aware of some of the most ways that people have a medicine delivery system? And you know what they use out in Europe a lot?
No.
It's suppositories. We here in Canada aren't all that keen on that sort of thing unless we actually have to need, like preparation H or whatever. That's a suppository. But the best way to deliver medicine, actual medicine, is through the suppositories. It's one of the most efficient and effective means of delivery to the human body as far as medicine is concerned. And I think we're going to see some of that going on later on, especially these people in Israel that have developed these methods for the medicines that they're finding out and creating, and it's just an amazing thing. But Abcann, again, I think everyone should get on Abcann Medicinals, get on their home site, click onto their investors relations part of their home site, and there's something you can click on to download. There's a webinar, okay? You can get yourself, there's going to be a webinar tomorrow at 1 p.m. So I encourage everyone to go onto that Abcann medicinal site and
let me ask you a question. Is there a way that you could contact them and we could live stream that?
I am not sure. I haven't actually asked them that sort of a question.
Well, I think that if you could contact them and let them know, hey, we'd love to live stream your presentation, I think that would be very interesting, don't you think?
Well, yeah, but I wasn't sure whether we can really actually get ourselves around that or not, and that's why I just thought I'd mention the best probably way.
Well, I mean, it's a public webinar, so I could go live with it anyways. So I'm just saying.
You just need the link, right? And you can get the link off of Abcann's site, right?
Exactly. So when we're done here today, I'm gonna register. I will get the link, and I would like if they knew we were live streaming it. But even if they don't know, we can go live with it anyways because it's only just gonna help them get more exposure. Why wouldn't they want that?
I'd love to. I'd love to see that happen for Abcann. I'd love to be able to. Because I think we're going to reach more people if
Absolutely.
If you did something on your show where we could live stream that webinar. That would be awesome because
I think we
I
should.
think that the people who are interested in Abcann, they're downloading the link on their site and they'll watch the webinar. But I think they could get a heck of a lot more exposure if we ran that webinar on your show. That would be awesome. That would be just awesome.
Well,
I don't know,
you know me, Attila. I love to break ground, buddy, and I love breaking news to the public. So if there's a way we can stream it tomorrow, we will. I'll tell you guys that much. We're on it. So listen,
Okay.
Attila, we've been live for an hour and 45 minutes, my friend. So we're gonna have to say goodbye. But thank you
Okay,
once
buddy.
again. It's been a great show, very educational. If you guys haven't got a chance to see this whole video, don't worry. I know we streamed live. We will have a recording on Rich TV Live that you'll be able to go and review. We've got a lot of people that are still watching. A lot of you have been watching throughout the entire show. Thank you all for watching. I know you guys love it when Attila the Killa is on the show. And Attila, you have anything else you want to let the listeners know before we say goodbye?
No, I think that's about. We've covered quite a few things today there, but Abcann Medicinals was really the showcase today. I thought that IPO. I know you offer some some stock information as far as don't jumping in with your both feet. Do your due diligence and stuff. But I think if you downloaded this or watched the presentation, I think it would make up a lot of people's minds in investing into Abcann Medicinals. These people are growing. They're going to be growing. They got some ambitious plans too. Aurora Sky, they got that 1 million square foot facility. Abcann has the same ambition.
Well,
So,
we'll be watching, and you know that we're going to be all over it. So thanks again, Attila, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Attila is our medical marijuana expert as far as I'm concerned. He is on top of all the medical marijuana stocks, as much as I am, if not more. I think you have a great insight. It's great to be able to speak to someone that loves the medical marijuana stocks, that watches them as much as I do, if not more, that can bring news live onto our show on a day-to-day basis. I think you are a huge asset to our community, and I really appreciate your involvement. And please continue to keep bringing us the news. And tomorrow, like I said, I would love to live stream the webinar, and maybe we'll do that. So maybe we can coordinate. What time is that going to be tomorrow again?
that's going to be at 1 p.m. So,
Eastern?
right after noon.
1
That's
p.m.
Ontario
Eastern?
time.
Okay, so it'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. So I will let you guys know. I'm going to try to get registered right now. I'm going to try to let you guys know if I can live stream the webinar. But if we can, we will, so that we can get to the nitty-gritty of this new IPO in the medical marijuana industry that I think is very exciting, has huge potential. I know Attila loves it, and I'm starting to grow to love it. So why not go to the webinar tomorrow and find out more?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you very
marijuana
much.
Investors, all good luck to everybody investing in marijuana. And Rich, I appreciate you mentioning me as the kind of the marijuana guru kind of guy that, and yeah, I put a lot of my time and effort into the marijuana stocks. And actually, I said several things to you that I was surprised you weren't even aware of. But no big deal. I was just kind of surprised that some of the information I gave you was new information to you, and it was great that I was able to bring some of this information that nobody was aware of, and I'll continue to do that. You just found out a little bit more about Aurora Sky today, about
That's
the
right.
acquisition they made, and not to mention their involvement in Australia.
I am one
Like,
person. I am one person. But as a community, if we all have our eyes and ears focused on the deals, we can all share information in real time very quickly and very efficiently. And that's the beauty and the power of our platform. It's the beauty and the power of our app. And it's the beauty and the power of all of the streaming platforms that we're a part of now and that we're continuously growing on a day-to-day basis. We can now share information in real time. I am one human being. I can only read up on so many companies, and it's difficult to do that when you're live streaming too. But when you have people like you, Attila, and like all the other members of the community that are reading every day, studying stocks every day, looking for information every day, and sharing it with me and the community, now it allows us to be able to share information exponentially in real time, which allows us to make better decisions, allows us to know what we're investing in that much more, allows us to be able to become more transparent. And as you can see, we've been starting to bring CEOs on our show. I'd like to do that more and more. And as our show gets bigger and our audience grows and becomes more robust and grows exponentially, you will see that some of these bigger and bigger and better companies will be more willing to come on the show, will be more willing to speak to the audience, will be more willing to speak to the investors and the shareholders, because they will see the value in Rich TV Live as we grow and we build our brand and we become a household name.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just quickly about Abcann. And the other thing I'd like to mention is the post-traumatic stress disorder that a lot of military personnel have gotten from their service in the military. A tremendous amount of them are coming back with this post-traumatic syndrome. Abcann actually helps these military personnel get their medical marijuana medicines covered through an organization. You just have to go to Abcann and get the instructions on how to do that. Anyone who's a military personnel can get their medicinal marijuana covered through this organization that Abcann kind of sponsors and works with to make sure that these military people get the medicine that they need. And it doesn't cost them, because it's something, a program that Abcann works with another organization to, and these military people get the write-off or the cost of their medicine is paid by someone else for them. And rightly so. Some of these people have come back with some pretty traumatic memories, and they have a hard time coping coming back with this post-traumatic stress disorder.
That is what I'm showing here on the screen, the Veterans Program. We want to extend our gratitude and appreciation, and we'll arrange your coverage with Veteran Affairs Canada. So that is exactly what Attila is referring to. One more great point. And Attila, once again, thank you for joining us.
Who else does that? Who else does that? I don't know anyone who goes, any LP or what medical marijuana producer that does that. I'm not aware of another organization who does that.
Well, that's what's going to separate them. That's what's going to separate them from the rest of the companies out there. But what we're going to do now is we're going to have to say goodbye. We're running out of time, guys. And what we'll do is let's get together again, hopefully maybe tomorrow or definitely Thursday on 420. Big things will be happening. We will be live from the 420 event here in Vancouver, the biggest 420 event in the world. We also have one of our subscribers.
Guaranteed, I want to watch you, Rich. I want to see that crowd.
Oh, buddy, it's you guys will be great. You guys are going to want to move to Vancouver after that. And the beautiful thing about it is our main man, Tony Brown, one of our major subscribers, my co-host for Real Talk, will be streaming live from courtside. The Toronto Raptors will be playing Milwaukee on Thursday, and our main man, Tony Brown, will be live courtside on Thursday. So we got some big things happening here with the Rich TV Live community. We're on top of all the news. We break it first. And Attila, you are a scholar, my friend. Have yourself a great day. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being a big part of the show. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from you soon, my friend.
Thanks again, Rich. You as well. Take care, eh? Have a great day.
Thanks, my friend.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That was Attila the Killer bringing us some more information. And that's what we do here, Rich TV Live. We break the news first. Wow, what a busy day today. First, we talked to Nutra Pharma Corp, NPHC, about their company. Then we talked about Abcann, ABCN, a new IPO, a new company in the medical marijuana space that's going to be going public next Tuesday or Wednesday. Heard here live on Rich TV from you, Attila the Killer. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Now remember, visit Rich TV Live. Don't forget to subscribe. Click that like down below and comment on the show, because all I do is bring you winners every single day, 24/7. Get our app, would ya? Download it at Google Play if you have an Android device. And if you've got an iPhone like me, you can get it at the Apple Store absolutely free. And if you want to know where to get all of that, just go to www.richtvlive.com and you can download everything there, and you can even watch our show every single day. I upload all of our shows on the website so you can keep track of everything as it happens daily. Alright guys, you keep winning, and remember, if you're not winning, you're not watching. Who is watching? Who's watching? Huh? Are you watching? Because if you are, you're winning. See ya, Facebook. Bye. Alright, YouTube. I love you, YouTube. We'll see you soon. Keep sniping. We'll see you guys soon. You know what? I gotta leave you guys with some BITCF because I figured it's a BITCF party today. So I'm gonna leave you guys with BITCF. I think that that's important because it is the hottest stock in the universe, and it is up 80,000%. And I brought it first to you, the people. So what do we do for the people? We're gonna give you some. We'll give you some bounce music. How about that? And since the market is either in the red and green, just like the Portuguese flag, either in the red or in the green, I'll let you take a look at this beautiful flag that I just love. And if you're a big fan of the best soccer player in the world, Mr. CR7 Cristiano Ronaldo, that's the original jersey when he was a kid. Have a nice day, everybody. I love you all. Keep winning, everybody. And like I said, if you're not winning, you're not watching.